Okay, looks like still one guy has to put his name perfectly. There's one guy who hasn't updated his name. Can you please update your name?
It may be me, I don't know. So this is Surya Sulekar.
Yeah, Surya, I can see it. I can see your name.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. There's Abhishek, Farida, Krishna, Subhashish, Surya, VK. Who's not being told? Anybody whose name is missing? I'll repeat the names: Abhishek, Farida, Krishna, Subhashish, Surya, VK. Kindly try to follow with the organizer and put in your name. Okay, so the server was up. Then immediately we started our server. For that installation steps, just let's have a quick recap. So we extracted the suit, and then we go to the platform folder in bin, and then open this in command prompt. Then you will have to set and env.bat, then type and space clean space all. Then you will have to run your Hybriss server.bat. So this is what we have learned. So once this is done, open http://localhost:9001. This would open the HAC, which is also called as Hybriss Administration Console. So if you remember, it opened without any credentials. It directly showed us this particular screen, and wherein there were two options called lock and initialize. So we clicked on initialize, which had set up the database. Okay, now let's see how the complete setup has been done. Like I told, this will take close to around 40-45 minutes, depending upon the RAM and depending upon the size of your system. Basically, your hardware configuration. Okay, now because the server is up, let me now try to open the application and then go to localhost folder 9001. Sorry, it should be localhost, right? Localhost. Okay. Now, if you see, did you see this screen yesterday? Did you see the screen where it was showing us to log in and all, or did it directly take us to a place where it was showing lock and initialize? Guys.
Yeah, it has taken to initialize and lock directly without logging.
Yeah. So it has taken to a screen which directly showed us lock and initialize. Now that the initialization is successful, it is now asking us to log in. Now, remember one thing, admin and NIMDA. Admin, the reverse of admin, NIMDA. It's the password. Admin is the user, NIMDA is the password for it. And this is the, what should I have to say, this is the super user for all of the things that we are going to learn. Admin and NIMDA is one user with the help of which you can see everything in Hybriss. Okay. So if you don't know how to log on to and where to log on to, admin NIMDA will help you to log into anything that you want. Okay. So if you see here, let us just log in. And let's learn what has happened after we have done our initialization yesterday. Okay. So, like I told you guys, there would be 3 layers to any kind of application. First one is your presentation layer. Second one is your business layer. The third one is your database layer. Basically, if you have these three layers ready, only then you will be able to kickstart a web application. Okay, web application will require these three layers. Now, let's talk only about the database layer now. In order to have a database, basically, see, you first of all need a uh, uh, software, right? Like something like Oracle SQL or MySQL or HSQL, or you can have a Microsoft SQL server. These are all your databases, right? You take one of that and you install it in your local. Once that is done, the first step is first of all create a schema. So it's more like let's try to correlate with constructing a house. If you are trying to construct a house, the first thing that you need to do is do a foundation. Now, once the foundation is ready, prepare the slabs, the pillars, sorry. Once the pillars are ready, start constructing one by one. Now, you have a series in which you need to go through. So, first of all, if the foundation is ready, everything else can be done. Now, in a similar way, you need to have an outline structure for your complete. You may be having a database, but in that, first thing that you need to have is a schema. Once you have a database, you need to create a schema. Okay, the first thing that will be created inside would be a schema. So it would create a schema. Within that schema, there would be hundreds of tables which would be created. So table 1, table 2, okay, table 3. So there can be different tables of different sizes and different ranges. One table may be having 3/4 columns, other table may be having 100 columns. There can be several tables. Now, for a web application to run perfectly, guys, any kind of a web application to run perfectly, you would need some seed tables. You would need some seed tables because Hybriss itself is trying. Hybriss is saying that it is giving you some default code for running an e-commerce application, right? So you have some default code shipped to you by default, right? So a bit of login API, a bit of cart API, a bit of checkout API, a bit of payment API is already given to you inbuilt. Now that bits and pieces, if they have to run properly, there should be basic amount of tables already existing because you need to have a default product table by Hybriss. To create a product, first of all, you need to have a default product table. Now, all those default tables which are shipped to you during within the suite itself, all those would be created when you do your initialization. Okay, so all of these tables that you are seeing here within the database are all created along with the schema. First of all, schema would be created. Within the schema, the tables would be created, and let me also try to put in the in the gaps that you are seeing here. Those gaps are nothing but extra indexes. Okay, there would not be only tables. There would also be something like indexes. So all those indexes would be created. These are all your tables. The gap that you are seeing in the black color would be your indexes, your records, your documents, your table supporting related stuff. All those would be there within your schema. So schema, all the inner details of the schema will be created along with the data. So a table would be created and certain rows will be inserted into it. Now, as a part of your initialization, a table called user table was created. Okay, a table called user table was created. Within that table, a row called admin and nimda was created. That is a seed data. Seed data as in something which is given to you by default. You did not create it. It is something which is shipped to you out of the box. So for an application to kickstart, you need somebody called admin and nimda. So that user was created at the time of initialization. Okay. So if you see here, now when I log on to admin console, this is how it looks like. The first home screen. Okay. Like I told you yesterday, this particular screen is also called as HAC in short form. Generally, people say like this: go to HAC and then do initialization, go to HAC and search for this, go to HAC and do that. Okay. Now, the generally frequently used ones within HAC, there are options to monitor your environments. So, if you have to maintain the health of the environment, or if you want to check how effectively it is running, or kind of a performance it is giving, it's more like a place where you can do all kinds of tests over your environment related stuff. So it is kind of a doctor kind of a portal. for your application. Generally, see, it will show you the home page itself. It will give you some kind of an idea. It will give you a complete idea of memory that is internally present for the complete setup to be running properly and all. Then, if at all you have a clustered environment, I'm assuming you guys know about clustering. If you guys don't know, clustering is a form in which one application can have multiple servers. So, if let's say there are lots and lots of requests pumping in, so it's more like this. Anyways, I talked to you about the concept of clustering at later point of time, but still, let's learn it now. So let's say this is your application. This is your these are your servers. Okay. If there are plenty of requests coming in, so there is request 1, and there is request 2, and there is request 3. So if let's say there is huge traffic, okay, then your application will not be knowing how to take them to the server. So what will it try to do is, there will be an intermediate layer coming in. This layer is called your load balancer. This is called your load balancer. Now this load balancer, what will it try to do is, it will try to take the request from your application. It will try to take this will take the request from, what am I doing? Okay, it will take the request from your application to your load balancer. So all those requests would be taken to the load balancer, and load balancer will act like traffic constable and say, boss, this request which is coming into your application, let me try to take it to server 1. This request which is coming into the application, let me route it to the second. This request which is coming to the server, let me redirect it to second or third one only, because this is free. So it acts like a traffic constable and distributes the requests. So it will easily handle your application. So you will know how the requests are being moved around and what kind of activity is happening with respect to maintenance and all that stuff. All that would be taken care from your HAC. So I'm just trying to show you that there are certain things with respect to monitoring the health of the application which can be maintained from your Hybriss administration console. Not all options are required for you here. So I'll try to talk about. So I'll only tell you some things which are generally used. You need not really deep dive into all of these options. Hopefully, we'll start our first functionality today itself. Let's not waste time over these things. So whatever are required, I'll tell you in detail. Otherwise, let's talk more about the functionalities. Okay. So for the technical people, I'll take 2 classes for this. Yesterday, I told you that I'll take 2 classes for HAC, but I think talking too much about this will also be useless. But if you guys are interested, I can tell you about each and every tab. Generally, you will not see, this is not a console at your, that you use. This is only admin related part. But let's learn on a high level about each and everything if required. Otherwise, I'll only concentrate on the ones which are frequently used. Okay. So if you see here, the first thing that you see is, these are all 4 tabs that you see: platform, monitoring, maintenance, and console. Out of this, the first one is platform, right? So in platform, you see something called tenants. Tenants, right? If you open tenants, you can see that there is this HSQL DB, which is defaultly active. So by default, Hybriss supports 4 different databases. I'll show them to you. You can just go to your platform folder and open a file called project.properties. In platform, there's a file called project.properties. Right click and say edit with notepad. So if you see here, you can see that there is something called Tomcat HTTP port 9001. So you can change your port from 9001 to let's say HTTP port and want to run it on 9010. If let's say you are trying to run it on 9010, then you can still do that. So you have to say HTTP localhost colon 9010. The point is you can still make all your server related changes. Hybriss allows you all that stuff. Okay, so just scroll down. Guys, one of you have to unmute. Since yesterday only Shravan is talking, I want others also to participate in the discussion. Anybody else who is interested in talking, just read out the things on the screen. That's it. You need not do any other thing. Just read out whatever is shown on the screen. Anybody wants to volunteer?
Kiran, this is Subhashish. Just reading the Hybriss multi-channel suite.
Please put your mic a little closer, Subhashish.
Yeah, Hybriss multi-channel suite supports several database systems.
One second. Slowly, clearly, and loudly. Everybody concentrate on this.
The Hybriss multi-channel suite supports several database systems, but only one of them may be active at a time. HSQL, which is the default, MySQL, Oracle SQL, SQL Server. What about HANA-DB? It's not there.
One second. First of all, read it.
Okay, yeah.
Read it. Guys, concentrate on it. Read it slowly, Subhashish. Yeah.
So HSQL, which is the default, MySQL, Oracle SQL, and SQL Server.
Okay, guys, I'll read it for you one more time. Configure your database. The Hybriss multi-channel suite supports several database systems, but only one of them may be active at a time. Only one of them may be active at a time. Out of these which are supported, they are HSQL DB, which is default and already activated, MySQL, Oracle SQL, and then you have Microsoft SQL Server. These are the ones which are your default master databases. Okay? You cannot have any other DB as your master DB. Master DB. Now let's come to the point. Because SAP has overtaken it, SAP is also trying to market HANA-DB as a part of your integration. From 5.7 onwards, you can use SAP also as your master database. Till 5.7, you cannot use it. By default, only these 4 are supported. If you want to have your master database set up, these are the only ones which are eligible. Now, in the real time, how many projects are using HANA-DB? Hardly a handful. Hardly. There are not even a good number of projects which are using HANA-DB as their master database. Lots and lots of Java-based applications will always use either MySQL or Oracle SQL as their master databases. They are trusted ones. They are compatible ones. HANA is a completely different one. That's completely new thing with respect to Java integration. There should be so many integrations and so many kind of connectors that has to come in between, and that is not even thoroughly tested. So that is why people won't prefer. Is it supported? Yes, it is supported from 5.7. But generally people will never prefer it as master database. Now master database as in the one which contains your Hybriss related tables. In general, HANA will always be your DB at an external system order management system level. When you talk about Hybriss, Hybriss is an order capturing system. You use Hybriss to create an order. That order which you create in Hybriss will be given to an order management system, and that order management system will manage your order. So that management system may also replicate the data as a part of which it may be using its own DB. So that can be your HANA DB. But this is not your HANA DB. Your HANA DB will never be your master database in Hybriss in general. Okay, as of now, these are the ones which are supported. If at all you want to change the database configuration from HSQLDB to MySQL, if at all you want to change it, what you need to do is just scroll down here. As you will never do this kind of an activity. If you are supposed to do this, you have to comment this out. So commenting means add a hash in between at the start of your lines. Put a hash here, and then just scroll down. You will have to uncomment these options that are there at MySQL level. So these are all MySQL related connections. So remove these hashes, and then you will be in a position to see. You have to remove this something like this. So if you remove it, you will be able to connect to your MySQL, but provided you'll have to enter your IP address here, you'll have to enter your DB name here, you'll have to enter your username and password. So after doing all of these, you will be in a position to connect to MySQL. In a similar way, you can connect to Microsoft SQL Server or the other databases that are supported. So if you see here, just scroll down. You can connect to Oracle SQL here. And then if you scroll down, you can connect to your Microsoft SQL Server. So these are your Microsoft SQL connections. Then if you just scroll up, you can see your Oracle SQL connections. These are all your Oracle SQL connections. So my intention of telling you is there are different kinds of databases which are supported, but out of this, only one of them is always your master database. You cannot have two master databases running at the same time. There is no concept of clustering in your databases as far as Hybriss is concerned. You can restructure it, but generally that is not recommended.
So, clear quick question. So, if we have a HANA, if we are running SAP ERP on HANA, and we are also having Hybriss at the front end, but the master DB will be only those four, right? And even if it is one of these four, even if it is HANA, it will still. Then how it will run on HANA then in that case?
Then how will it?
So how will it run on if I want to run on the, like say I want to use the HANA predictive analytics, but as we know this is the only 4 DB it supports. So how it
this is still 5.7. From 5.7 you have SAP support, right? SAP HANA support. That is coming by default. So till 5.7 you cannot even connect to this one HANA at all. That doesn't even support.
Okay. Thanks.
If you see the project.properties from 5.5 or 5.7, you can see that there is this SAP related stuff also being added within the platform. So parameters are already inbuiltly given. That is why, see, of course, going forward, everything would be removed and only HANA also might be replacing everything. Because SAP wants to have its own monopoly. So SAP will say, why do I even give you support to Oracle SQL? I will only make sure that you are using all SAP products only. It can even make sure that those things will also happen. So going forward, we may be seeing lots and lots of such changes. Okay. So that is about your tenants. Any doubts, guys? Sorry. Anybody any doubts? Okay. That is about your tenants. Now if you see here, you have something called configuration. For now, just ignore this. Configuration is a place where you can change your properties that you are seeing in your project.properties. So for example, generally what happens is dot properties is a file, right? It's a simple file like .java file. If you change the value here, let's say I change the value of the Tomcat port from 9001 to 9010, like I told you a while ago. I changed the value of this one from 9001 to 9010 and I save it. Okay, but to see this change, I need to rebuild my application. To rebuild, I'll have to type ant clean all. Now ant clean all will take a little time, and after ant clean all, again I'll have to restart my server. So first of all, I need to stop my server. I need to make a change physically in the file, and then I'll have to save it, and then I have to rebuild it and restart. So it would take lots of time. So developers generally try to prefer and take up certain things which are easier to manipulate. So what they will try to do here is they'll try to search for that key here. They'll say Tomcat dot http.port, then they change the value from 9001 to 9010 here. But if you see here, I read out the note, guys carefully listen to it. Anyway, this is absolutely of no concern. Even if you don't concentrate, no problem. Changes entered on this page are stored only in the memory. That means all the values are reloaded from local.properties or project.properties when restarting the application server. To make them persistent, enter changes in local.properties or project.properties file directly. So just for temporary purpose, if I change a value here, I can use it just for the meantime. But if I want to make sure that the change is permanent, I need to physically go to the file and change it. That's how it is done. So just for trial purposes, developers will use these options. Okay, to see that whether if I modify the keys name from keys value from this to this, how will it work? So all that general things. So just to see on a high level how things will be how things will work if I change a value of a particular key without even restarting the application. If I want to see certain changes, how will I do that? So those things can be verified from your configuration tab. Okay. Now, if you see, there is another tab called system. Now the system tab is mainly used to see your hardware configuration, or there are certain variables which are supposed to be seen. For example, every machine that you work on will have certain Java version that is installed, which will have Hybriss version that is installed, will have Ant version which is installed, will have certain configurations, right? If you see that something is not working in the production systems, and you generally will not have access to go and modify the code. Code modifications cannot be done. If code modifications have to be done, they have to be generally done from the local development machines only. If they have to be pushed to the central systems, then it may take a little time. So to ensure that everything is smooth and fine, you have something called system information where you just can verify what is what. For example, you can see that this is your Ant home, and you can see that this is where my Tomcat server is. This is the place where I'm having my Hybriss bin directory. If I go to E functional Hybriss bin, this is where my Hybriss bin directory is. This is where my config directory is. This is where my data directory is. So if you just scroll down, you can still see what is your Java home, which version of Java you are using, just to see that these are the things that are present in my machine. On a high level, if you can see what all properties and what all kinds of softwares, what are the environmental variables that are there specific to your system. Generally, we will never modify anything. If something has to be changed here, you cannot create anything just by right clicking and doing something like that. In order to make sure that something is appearing here, you need to physically go to your environmental variables and change them. That's how it is reflected. Anyways, you will not do that kind of a setup and all. So just that this is a place where you can see your information related to your environment, like what is your Java home, what is your Ant home, where is your bin, where is your config folder, where is your log folder. So all that paths you can see. Now there's something called logging. Logging is a mechanism to ensure that the statements are properly printed on the console. It is generally used for tracing out the bug. So for example, you want to see the information like this. So you can see that web app HSE is not mapped for tenant something. You can see that there is some kind of a statement being printed here. In a similar way, when I write my code, as a developer, if I start writing my code, I due to some kind of an internal error, I see that some error statement has to be displayed here. So if such kind of a statement has to be displayed here, in that kind of a case, I want to see that line being printed on my console. In order to do that, I have an option called logging. So what will I try to do? I will select a particular file. For example, let's say products controller is the class in which this is the Java class in which I have written my logic. In this, I have written some statements, and I want those statements to be printed on my screen, on the console basically. So I can manipulate with this. Basically, remember one thing: logging is a mechanism in which you can log all the errors, and you can basically work out on all forms of statements to be printed on the log. You have your server log, right? In that server log, if some statements have to be printed, they can be manipulated from platform logging. This much is enough, right? Because all those people who write their code, they have to know what are the inner connections and all. Basically, you have an option to switch on and switch off logs. Remember one point. If you feel that at some point of time your server is taking so much of space because there is huge log file, your log file is getting generated into a huge file, because of which your application is becoming slow. Remember one thing: if your log file is also heavy, your application will be slow, because too much of memory will be occupied only for your log, right? So many statements are getting printed in a file, and your text file gets exceeded. That file has lots and lots of statements being printed within it, and the file size is increased by multiple folds. When that is happening, your application will become slow. In order to avoid all of that, you'll have to go to your logging tab and switch off all the logs. So if you switch off the logs, then what will happen is, though the log statements, unnecessary log statements would not be printed, because of which your file size would be less. So basically, to manipulate all that stuff, you have an option called platform logging. Okay, and then now we have platform extensions. This is a place where you can see what all extensions have been used in your application. Okay, guys, who's the one who just joined? Who's the one who just joined? Somebody just joined, right? I've muted everybody. You have to unmute. Like I told, kindly put your name. I'll repeat the names one more time. Farida, Krishna Madivada, Abhishek Singh, Shravan Purela, Sri, Subhashish Roy, Surya, VK. Other than this, there are two people who haven't put your name. Kindly from tomorrow's class, put your names properly and join the class. Otherwise, we'll have to dismiss you. Okay? If you don't know how to enter your name and all, type that in Google and say how to edit name in GoToMeeting web, because you guys have joined as web participants, two of you. Okay, if you still don't know, call up your organizers and ask them, they'll help you out. Okay, so let's get back. So let's say I have created my extension. Okay, so you are in a situation where you are not seeing payment related functionality in your application. Okay, so payment related functionality, you are unable to see it on your screen in your application. How will you try to resolve it? You will resolve it this way. You will first of all go and see whether payment is included as a part of your extensions or not. Just scroll down. Yeah, so there is payment here. Because there is payment, I can see payment related functionality. In a similar way, I have written my own code. I created my extension and I wrote all my code in that. Okay, I've created something called, let's say Nike is your client, and you have gone and written Nike payment. That is what you have written. So in order to see the changes of Nike payment on your application, first of all, that should be included as a part of your local extensions.xml file. If you remember, I told you about local extensions.xml file yesterday, right? So if you have written some piece of a code and you want to see that code changes getting reflected, that should be included as part of your local extensions.xml file. Whatever is included there in that file, you can see them in extensions. The option is platform extensions, will show you that. Now let's go to initialization tab. This is what was seen yesterday. If you see here, it is showing you the the database connections are pointed to HSQL, because HSQL is the default data. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. In the previous extension screen, there was something called core extension and HMC extension. What is that?
See, there are different extensions which will help you for different kind of functionality. Like I told, in extensions, you have something called MAP demo, media web, mobile optionals, OCI, payment, platform HMC, platform services. Each of these will have different functionality. So for example, each and every extension, let's not talk about in detail. In general, this virtual JDBC connection is there. This will directly talk about your Java database connections. JDBC stands for Java database connectivity. So how your database connectivity related stuff is happening from the business layer to the database layer. I've shown you in this diagram, right? Your presentation layer will talk to your business layer. From business layer, you will talk to your database layer. So how is the interaction between these two happening? It is happening because of the default code which is present in your virtual JDBC extension. Now voucher is there. Voucher, you know, right? Voucher codes that you have. So that default code which is given to you by default is present in voucher. So in a similar way, each and every extension has got its own specific thing. Now what is provided by each and every extension, even by knowing that, will not be having any use. But each and every extension has got some default API. These are all individual extensions. Okay. So this wishlist extension will give you all wishlist API. You don't want wishlist to be there in your application, remove this from your local extensions.xml file.
Okay.
So that functionality will be removed.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So if you go to your initialization, guys, like I told you, you can see your database connection here, which is your HSQLDB, which is the default database, right? Now, you click on initialize, like I told you yesterday. Now I'll not click on it. It will take at least 40 minutes of your time and create your complete database from the scratch. In general, how frequently is the initialization done? Let's talk a little about it. Okay. Now I'll give you two scenarios. You tell me which one you will prefer. Let's say you are trying to cook food. You are trying to cook some food. Let's say biryani. Let's say you are trying to cook some biryani. Now you add up all the ingredients and you start putting them on the stove. You wait. You let everything happen correctly. The cook, and once the complete food is cooked, then you sprinkle some, let's say, salt over it and keep it ready for eating. Okay, so it can be served. At the time of eating, okay, so this is what is your initialization. Okay, when you go for your initialization, everything is created right from the scratch. Everything is created right from the scratch. Now, you found out that the salt is a little less. Okay, you found that the salt is a little less. At this point of time, how will you try to resolve it? I'll give you two designs. First design is throw away this food. Recook everything from the scratch. In the second time, as a part of your recooking, add the exact amount of salt. This is first option. Second option is take the existing food, add the extra amount of salt, whatever is necessary. Which one will you choose and why? Do not tell me I will not throw the food because it will be waste. Tell me a sensible answer. Which one will you choose among these two designs and why? Give me a justification. You guys got the question? Hello?
Could you please come again with the question?
So let's say you have some food in front of you, which is having a little salt less. In order to stabilize it, you will throw away this food, recook everything from the scratch, and add the exact amount of salt. This is first solution. Second solution is add the necessary amount of salt in the existing food. Which one will you prefer and why?
Second.
Obviously, adding the data, right? Obviously, solution is always be data, right? Adding the salt.
Why?
That is more appropriate and easy activity, right? You don't have to spend too much of time. You don't have to waste it.
It is not about easy. It is about time.
That's what I'm saying.
Both will give you the solution. Both will give you the solution. Yes or no?
Of course, yeah.
Both will give you the solution, but the optimized solution is
Ideal solution is
adding the amount of salt to the existing food. Now the same thing is there is the difference between initialization and update. Now I try to correlate the example. You only try to understand the analogy. If you want to create a new table, one new table you want to create, apart from whatever is shipped to you by default, Hybriss, let's say, has given you 100 tables. One user table, one product table, two price tables, three wishlist tables, four promotion tables, two payment tables. So Hybriss has given you, let's say, some default set of tables. Along with this, you wanted to create a new table. If you wanted to create a new table, you write your table script and click on initialize. What will happen is it will destroy all the tables. It will recreate everything from the scratch. As a part of recreation, your new table will also be created. You got my point? Initialization will destroy the full schema. It will destroy all the tables. It will destroy all the data. It will recreate the schema, recreate the tables, and reload the data. As a part of recreation, it will also create a table for you. That is what will happen if you try to do initialization. Now, as an alternative, you have something called update. Now, update is a wonderful option which will give a damn about the existing ones. Existing ones will be as it is. It will not disturb anything which is there as of now. If any table has been modified, it will just modify that table. If a new table has to be created, that will be created. So it will not destroy everything and it will not recreate everything. It will only create whatever has been modified. So update will take relatively less time to complete the work because it is not deleting anything and recreating. So it will only create anything which has been modified or anything which has been newly added. So it will only modify the existing one. It will not destroy and work on the top of everything again from the scratch. This is like adding the pinch of salt. Initialization is doing everything again from the scratch. Both of them will offer you the solution, but update will be very, very fast. Time factor, update. Initialization is a hell lot of activity. That is why every time every time a developer gets a new functionality, whenever he tries to create something at the database level, they will always prefer update. Update will be very faster. Understood the difference between initialization and update?
Kiran, one question. Say I've already installed one recipe, say B2C, and then I'm trying to install the B2C telco storefront. So can I just use update or do we have to do initialize again?
If you are using two different, are you talking about two different recipes or one recipe and I'm adding extra table within that recipe?
Two different recipes.
Two different recipes are two different applications. So you'll have to do two different initializations.
So not update, so initialize, okay.
No, because you're having two different setups, right?
Yeah. But there's no dependency, right?
No, according to you, are you trying to install two recipes in the same application?
Yes.
What you are trying to say is I will run telco also and I will run B2C also in the same place.
Yes.
That generally will never be done. You will not have a B2B and B2C running together. You will not have a telco and B2B running together. You either have telco or B2B. That is how it is done. But if you want both of them to be done together, then you will have to, have a proper structuring of the extensions because dependencies will cause lots of build failures. That is why. In general, that is not how it is done. But if you want to do it, you can do it by establishing proper dependencies. In that case, one schema will contain telco tables also and B2B tables also. Both will be there. But for that, you need to structure your extensions properly.
Okay.
In general, what will you do if you are using recipes? Recipes, if you are using, you will have only one recipe used at one time. At that point of time, you initialize individual recipes separately.
Okay.
So guys, for those of you who don't know recipes, no problem. No problem at all. Do not worry. Okay, that's the difference between initialization and update. Any doubts with respect to initialization and update, guys? Go ahead, ask, no problem. It may be a silly doubt. Get it clarified. Do not keep it in your mind. There's nothing to feel embarrassed. Go ahead, ask. Go ahead, guys, no problem. Farida, I see you unmuting. You have something to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question, Kiran. Actually, as part of this,
If you don't know, I will not repeat this multiple times. Can you please keep your mic a little closer? Your voice is very, very feeble. That is why.
yes. Is it audible now?
Clear. Okay.
As part of initialization or update, if you want to create a new table, where do we actually fire the script? Do we upload that?
Right now we are not at a state of how to write our table script. Where will we write our table script is not our area of concern. What we are trying to see is we have an option to, if you want to create a table, you have to use update or initialization. That is what is the discussion about. Now, where will we write the table script and all is a later part of course.
Okay.
So you understood the difference between initialization and update?
Yes, perfectly. Yeah. Yes.
That's more than enough. That was what I was expecting. Because if I start about table, then it will be completely off topic. Okay, now let's get into license. So you can see that there is something called license here. Now, this is the main thing that because of which I am asking you guys to work on this. So this particular license has got no expiration date. So you can use it at any point of time. Now, this suit you will not even find in Wiki now. The point here is, as a part of practice, you will create lots of test data. When you are creating test data, you will be in a position that, okay, I create my test data now because I am taking my training. After 1 month, when I am in my project, I want to replicate this data. Okay, if you start your server, you will or access your application, you will be able to see all the data. But if you are using anything from 5.1, and above, every suit has to be mandatorily initialized after 30 days. Every 30 days, you need to initialize. When you initialize, all your data will be gone and everything will be recreated from the scratch. As a part of recreation, only seed data will be created. Your data will not be created. If you don't take backup, your data will not be created as a part of initialization. So all your data will be lost. So that is why I always prefer explaining you with this. If you are using 5.1 and above, go to the platform and licensing tab. You will see that the license has only 30 days of validity. After every 30 days, you have to mandatorily initialize. As a part of your mandatory initialization, all your data will be lost. So you will not be having your data at all. Every 30 days, you will have to reinitialize. As a part of reinitialization, all your data that you created will be lost, and the one which is given out of the box, only that will be there. So this is the major concern with respect to licensing in from 5.1. Okay, so for practice purpose, this is better because you try to create lots of data now. At later point of time, if you want to cross verify, any day you can restart your server and see all your data. This is one of the wonderful features in this version of Hybriss. Now you have your support tab here. Basically, the support tab will help you to take a backup of all the logs. So let's say you want to take a backup of yesterday's log and today's log, and you want to analyze it. Select those two or select whatever you want. If you click on here, it will select all of them. Otherwise, you can just select one access or one console or console and console you select. Or let's say access and access, whatever it is. So you want to select the respective logs that you want and then go down. You have a create option here. Click on that create. It will create a zip file for you which you can download, or if you have an SMTP server integrated as a part of your application, you can send it by email. So what you are basically trying to do is you are generating your log files zip and you are sending across to your developer so that he can analyze. So this is what you are doing. Okay, so basically support tab in HAC will help you to get the log file. You have central environment, you have a production environment. From production environment, you are trying to get the log information. How will you get that is just go to your production environment HAC. After you log in, go to platform and go to support. Select the log file that you want and then say create. It will create a zip file for you. Download it or send it by email. Once you send it by email, you will be in a position to analyze the log. So that's how you can do it. Ideally, what will happen every time there's a bug in production or any kind of central environment, you will always be asking your central environment team to give you the log file so that you can analyze. That is how developers will do that. So after the perfect log statements are getting printed, you have to analyze the log, right? So here is a place where the admins will try to generate the log file. So they just open HSC, go to platform, click on the support, select the corresponding log file, and then send it to the corresponding developers. That's how they do it. Okay, this is a place where they can get the access. Now, PK analyzer and class path analyzer, they are too deep with respect to technicality. Even the technical batch will not be learning them in detail. This is all about primary key and class path. So it's like huge amount of geeky and nerdy stuff. So these things are really not required for us. Okay, even class path analyzer, these are really too deep with respect to technicality also. Anyways, we'll not use them at all. We'll anyways use the default options. They are basically related to your internal class paths of your Java environment, and PK is like primary key which is generated within the table. So Hybriss internally generates some PKs, so those PKs are indexed. So that is what is your platform tab. It takes lots of time to explain HSE generally. That is why the complete class around 50 minutes is almost done, and 50 minutes we've been talking only about platform. But the rest will take very little amount of time. Okay, so if you see, if I tell you about each and every option now only, it will be like overcooked. Too many options being told in one class, and you will feel like I'm like overstuffed with so many options which I am not even remembering. The trainer is going so fast. That kind of an impression you will get. I'll try to repeat the options that I have told you today, and we'll try to get it summarized. Tomorrow we will see monitoring, maintenance, and console. Mostly, whatever is required, I'll try to concentrate. We'll not talk about each and every tab, because you must have understood by now that okay, these are the tabs which I really don't have any kind of functionality that I see. But if you are interested enough, I'll explain you about each and every tab. That is not a big deal. But learning it is also a waste of time, because you will generally not use it in real time. Let's concentrate on whatever you are using in real time. Others will just try to have a high-level overview. Okay, so one more time. I just arrived onto HSE after I restarted my server. Yesterday, I did not see a login option at all, because there was no default user available. In order to have the default user created, Hybriss is giving me a wonderful option called initialize. When I have clicked on initialize, Hybriss has set up a default database system for me. As a part of the default database system setup, it has created some default tables and test data for me. Not just test data, I should call it as some kind of a seed data. So that using that seed data, I was trying to log on to my Hybriss administration console. I have a user called admin, and correspondingly I have its password as Nimda. So admin and Nimda, I have logged in onto my Hybriss administration console. Once I have done that, I can see 4 different tabs here, out of which I have platform tab. Within platform tab, basically tenants. Tenants will tell me what is the database that I am connected to. If I want to modify any of my tenant, I will have to go to my project.properties, which is present in my platform folder, and there I'll have to modify the database connections. Accordingly, I can connect from one database to another database. That is the platform tenants. Now, platform configuration is about changing your key value base at runtime. They will not be permanently saved. Just at runtime they will be. If you want to change these values permanently, you'll have to modify your local.properties or project.properties directly. Otherwise, they will not be changed. Now you have platform and system. In platform system, you can see all the details of your application's environmental variables. So whatever environment you are working on, that respective environmental variables, what is the Java home, what is the version of Java that they are using, all that stuff you can see it from your system environment. So that is the option that you have in system. Then logging, basically to switch on and switch off logs per class file level. So whichever Java class is having all these Java classes are having some kind of logging statements written. So you want to switch off all the logs of this, you want to switch on all the log files of this. What kind of values you want to print log.debug, you want to print log.info for this, you want to print log.one for this. What you want to print, you can just enable, disable them, and accordingly you can basically print your log statements there. Platform extensions. Basically, this will show you the list of all extensions that you have included as part of your local extensions.xml file. And you have your initialization. Initialization is a process where database is created right from the scratch. At any point of time, if my database is corrupt, and I feel that no, the data that I'm seeing right now is not perfect. It's more like a factory reset. If anything is wrong, I want to stabilize the environment, and no matter what, my data is lost or it doesn't really bother me. Even if my data is lost, I want everything to be restored to its first state. Whatever is given to us by default, go and initialize. If you initialize, everything will be restored again. Okay, that is what initialization does. Now you have update. Update is an alternative to initialize. So what it will do is it will only modify the extra changes. It will not modify everything again. It will not create everything again from scratch. It will just try to modify the existing ones. So you created a new one. That new one will be updated. So new one can be created with the help of update. If you click on initialize, that will also create a table for you, but it will delete others also and recreate others. As a part of the creation, your new table will be created. But the data in the table will be again lost. So in order to update, enter the data again, you need to take a backup and enter them. It's a hell lot of time, that is why. And then you have your license, where you can see all your licensing information. And then you have your support, where you can check your relative log that you want to see and analyze. And click on the create button that you have at the top, by the bottom. It will create a zip file for you where you can download your log file. So these are the options that you have in HSC's platform tab. This will only take lots of time. The other tabs will not take that much time. The other tabs will just take us three tabs generally. For the technical folks, it takes around 1 hour. 45 minutes to be more specific, 45 minutes to 1 hour. For the technical folks. So for you, I don't think it will take so much of time. Around half an hour will do fine, I guess. Any doubts in the current class days? Stay back. Others, I am done for the day. You can, if you want, you can leave for the day. Otherwise, you can just stay back, ask all your doubts that are corresponding to today's class. Anybody, any doubts? Go ahead.
Kiran, can you hear me?
Yeah, Farid, I can hear you.
Yeah, Kiran, I missed the class yesterday. This is my first day. I just want to ask you, I'm new to Hybriss, but I'm very familiar with the CRM on premises. There are a couple of things I want to ask you as I want to be a functional analyst for the Hybriss. These consoles that you are talking about, the Hybriss admin console, does the functional analyst get the authorization to get to this technical level of using this platform?
No. You will never use Hybriss administration console at all. Yesterday only I told this option. See, you will never use Hybriss administration console in real time work because this is not containing any kind of functionality. No functional work is there here. But when you try to talk about different environments, let's say you are sitting in a Hybriss meeting with your architects and with your developers and all. When they start discussing, you should know the context of their discussion, right? What they are talking about, what they're actually, if you want to participate in a discussion, you should know about certain terminologies. So once, let's say they suddenly talk about initialization, it should not be bonkers for us, right? You should at least understand that, okay, initialization means they are trying to talk about some kind of a table creation and resetting everything. If they are saying that go and do an update and all, that means they are trying to create some new stuff apart from whatever it is existing. So somebody says, I want to take a backup, I want to take an immediate log file. How will they do? They'll use the Hybriss administration console and go to support. So the terminologies will help you in participating in the discussion. Really, you will not use them at all. But I have seen with my personal experience, I'm telling you, whenever the business analysts and functional people will sit in a meeting, they don't just talk about the functionalities. They need to know about overall options that are present in Hybriss, so that when client asks you whether this kind of a feature is already available in Hybriss, you will know that this is available. Now, how is it? How does it work and all? You may not be knowing at that point of time, but you will know that okay, this feature is available in Hybriss. If somebody says, I want to generate a log file, can I just do it by a click of a button? Yes, you can do it. How will you do it? You have some option in HSC. Some option is there. Now, how will you do it? No problem. Go and ask your technical folks. But is the option there? Yes, it is there out of the box.
Okay.
Because when the functionality starts, all your consoles and all will be taught. But these you have to know well in advance because tomorrow I'll use certain terminologies. I'll say that in order to create data, I'll use something called Impex. You should know what Impex is. Basically, the other tabs that we are going to talk about will talk about Impex. So here we have something called Impex. Impex is a process where you load data. You create a data file. Like you will try to insert some 100 rows into a table. You will do it with an Impex file. You will load the data using this option. You come to this particular console and then enter your data here and say import. Your data will be imported. So certain terminologies you should know when somebody is talking about Impex, when somebody is talking about initialization, what is the context about and all that stuff. So that you can properly frame your words when you ask your developer. So when you write your functional case, you will ask your developer to do so and so activity. So technically you will sound very good. Your statements will be perfect, that is it.
Kiran, quick question. This is Surya. What version we should install in our system as part of this training?
For 5.0.3.2.
Okay, is that what you are going to distribute later?
That is what I have already. That is what is already given to you by the organizers. You can talk to them and you can take them from them. But one more thing. Remove that misconception from your mind that the version that we are using will really impact in the way we are learning. Absolutely not. All the versions of Hybriss from 5.x till 6.x, like I've shown you yesterday, only the default extensions have been increased. So more and more integrations can be done with minimal amount of code. You know, in earlier versions of Hybriss, it is you as a developer who has to write all the code. If you are a developer, you have to write everything from the scratch. In the newer versions, Hybriss only is giving it all out of the box. So your effort is reduced because more and more features are given out of the box. More and more raw material is given. You just need to paint it. In earlier versions, you are the one who constructs everything. Right from the foundation till the building, everything you only need to do. Right now, what Hybriss is doing is, I give you a template. You want to have one bedroom and two kitchens, or one kitchen and two bedrooms, it is all up to you. Arrange it in your own way. That is what Hybriss is doing with newer versions. So it is making more and more flexible. So functional wise, topics are remaining intact. Integrations wise, so many a lot of changes are being done. Other than that, nothing else. Okay?
Got it.
Kiran, there is Subhashish, one question.
Yeah.
In our project, we're looking to use Hybriss as a service. So obviously, the YAS is not released beyond US. So can we like install Hybriss on AWS? Is there any restriction?
No, nothing like that. You can even install it in cloud. So the point here is what you are trying to do is you are trying to use Hybriss as a service, right?
Yes.
When you are trying to use Hybriss as a service, this is how your structure will look like. When you are using Hybriss as a service, this is how your architecture will be. This is your Hybriss layer.
Yeah.
This is your presentation layer. Now your presentation layer will try to call Hybriss. So what your Hybriss will do is, this will be your web service. This will be converted into a web service. So there will be asynchronous calls and synchronous calls. So all the data that is returned by the business layer, that means your Hybriss application to the front end or whatever system it is contacting with, will give it in some XML format or will give it in a JSON response. JSON or XML will be the way in which they communicate. So this gives some XML to this, this will return back some XML to this. So a request will be given, response will be given. So the response will be response and request. They will be in the form of XML or JSON. That's how it will be done. Is that possible? Yes, that is thoroughly possible. Are we having the support in the latest in the version that we are using? Yes, certainly we are having it. Now, which extension helps us? The extension called Y-commerce web services. This extension has the default code to support your YAS facility.
Okay.
So, by default, the version that we are using will help you to expose your Hybriss as a service.
Okay, so through HTTP, through VPN, users can.
Yeah, you can use the REST services or SOAP services to expose your Hybriss as a service.
Okay. Thanks.
Kiran. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kiran. Actually, I'm from Serol. It's a partner of SAP. I have my C user details. I don't have S user. And I have also Hybriss wiki credentials.
Okay.
But I could not download the zip file. It's redirecting to the login screen. Then I
What
got
is
this,
it?
but I could not download the suite file. Hybriss
Yes, yes,
suite.
once again. What SAP has done is it is keeping locks on every places. In order to download suit from SAP right now, from Wiki, every credential has been taken out. You cannot download a suit from Wiki unless until you have SAP credentials, not Wiki credentials. Wiki credentials are only to post your questions and check them out. From 6.2 onwards, it has completely locked it. So you cannot download. Earlier we could download directly using that. But if your company is having an SAP ID, your company will have one SAP ID. Or if you have done an SAP certification, you will be given an SAP ID. Using that ID, you will have to log in and download. There are too many restrictions these days, and that is why.
Actually, I have C user.
Whatever it is, if you try to download, you click on the download option that is available in Wiki. It will you enter your Wiki credentials. It will not allow you to download, right? It will say to re-enter one more time, and it will continuously go it in infinitely. You will not be able to download it unless until you have an SAP ID.
Will I be able to get S user? Yeah.
No, that is also, you have to try. I haven't tried it yet, so you can just give it a shot. Generally, it happens only through SAP ID. You can ask your admin team from your company; they will give you a complete idea. Okay.
I can share something. Actually, when you go to Wiki, it will take you to SAP Service Marketplace. So if your S user has got authority in SAP Software Download Center, you can just go to SAP Software Download Center, type in Hybriss 5.0, whichever version, and you can download the zip from there. That's the only way you can do it. We need to have a download authority through S user.
Yeah.